Hey, it's Dave from the camera store. We're looking at something with some really big reach. This is the brand new Tamron 50-300. This is the latest offering from Tamron. This is a 50-300 4.5 to 6.3 VC VXD lens. Now, there's a lot of things going on with this lens. It's kind of a new take on the old classic 70-300 that was very popular back with DSLR cameras. Now, with the advantages of mirrorless cameras, we're getting a little bit extra with all these lenses, and Tamron is certainly showing that. It's making this lens that much more versatile, and I'm finding even though 50 is not my favorite focal length, I love having this flexibility that I can really get some nice perspective, but also zoom in. And we've come down to a very cool place here called Lynbrook Falls, just in southwest Alberta, which is like a mini Niagara Falls, although I don't see anybody going down on barrels today, so I think we're safe that way. It's a picturesque little place. If you ever get a chance to come down here, it's well worth the drive and check it out. And I'm loving exploring this whole area with this lens and its versatility. When I get my hands on a brand new lens, the first thing I do is sort of play around with all the controls and see what kind of fit and finish I'm getting out of this lens. And Tamron's done a very good job with this. I really like the fact that the zoom ring, which we're going to be using a lot on this lens with this kind of range, is really nice and wide. I got big grip anywhere I want to grab it. It makes it work, but it's nice that it's only 90-degree throw from 50 to 300. That means I can quickly go from one side to the other. So if I'm shooting kind of action and want to reframe something quickly, I don't have to change my hand position at all. That I like a lot. Behind that, we do have a custom control button, and behind that we do have the manual focus ring, which you can customize, and it is a drive-by-wire focusing, so be aware of that. Now, it is minimalist control, and in the back of the lens here we do have a USB-C port. And I love this fact about Tamron, the fact that we can update the firmware in the lens itself. So as manufacturers improve their bodies and change their firmware, you're guaranteed that the lens is going to still work with the camera as well as they continue to update their firmware. Now, of course, this is a 4.5 to 6.3 aperture lens, meaning at 50 millimeters at 4.5, and as you zoom out, it creeps up into that 6.3 range when you get to the 300. Now, we have to take this into account with our exposure, and our shutter speed is going to change, or our ISO is going to change as we're zooming in and out. Now, I'm okay with it on a lens like this. For the price point we're getting with this lens and the feature set, I'm okay with that variable aperture, and I can certainly work with it. And auto ISO nowadays does a lot of good for a lot of people. Now, what I do like is that it is vibration control. That's what the VC stands for on the Tamron lens. Take a look at this video clip that Drew shot at 300 millimeters handheld, and you can see how effective the vibration control is working on this lens. Now, the VXD refers to the kind of motors used for autofocusing. And if you look at this min-max test we're doing here, you can see how quickly it acquires focus from min to max. So I'm pleasantly surprised by all the features they put into this lens, and it's given me a really good experience when I'm shooting with this lens, and I'm pleasantly surprised with how good the image quality is. Now, before I talk about image quality, I want to talk about the minimum focusing distance on this lens. It's kind of crazy. Take a look at this bug shot I did here. At 50 millimeters, I am almost touching the lens hood. It's incredibly close up to give you this really kind of cool perspective. I like the fact that they've included that in a lens like this to add to that flexibility of a 50 to 300. Now, when it comes to the image quality of this lens, I am quite happy with what I'm getting out of it. Take a look at some of the shots I've been doing today as I'm browsing around. The sun stars I'm able to get out of this lens is quite pleasant. The chromatic aberration is under control with this lens. Now, take a look at the wall test we've done here. Now, it's not the most exciting subject, but it really showcases what a lens is capable of doing. Nice center sharpness, but it falls off a little bit on the far edges at 50. When I zoom into 300, I'm getting a really pleasant image across the board. Usually don't get that with lenses of this kind of price point and this sort of feature set, but we're getting very good image quality, and that's part of where we are in today's lenses. They're all pretty darn good. So overall, I have a lens that produces some very good quality content for a very reasonable price. I really like the fact that Tamron has thrown a lot of good stuff into this lens. The fact that the throw is 90 degrees, the fact that we have a USB-C port to update the firmware for future use is really nice. So I'm finding this lens is well thought out, and I like what I'm getting out of this, how easy it is to handhold, and if this is a focal range that you're interested in, this is a really viable option and well worth taking a look at. Now, I of course want to know what you guys think of this focal length. This is something that appeals to you, and what kind of genre do you think this lens is purposely built for? Let us know in the comments down below. Follow us both on Instagram. It's Dave from the Camera Store, and we'll catch you again soon. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to check out more of our recent content, click up here. And if you're Canadian and you want to support local, check out thecamerastore.com down here.